Welcome to the wonderful world of getting inside of a John Deere greens mower walk behind transmission. I'm going to get in here to get a sprocket right here. I got another mower that has a bad sprocket on it, and the chain is slipping on the sprocket when you engage the reel. So if you have the motor running and you go to engage the drive lever and you hear a lot of clunking noises, or your lawnmower, your greens mower shutting off when you do that, it's probably this sprocket right here. There's a chain that goes around the sprocket right here for the reel, and then there's a long chain that goes around all these. So there's a couple of different sprockets in there. And when you engage this lever right here, it pushes something up against another sprocket, and they mate together and they turn at the same time. I took one out earlier already, and you can see right here inside there is this, all right, and you have two different sprockets, all right. So this one's a little worn out also, but you're going to have this on the back side, and when you engage this lever, this will push up against another one that looks just like this, and those teeth will mate up. And that's what engages your drive reel. They just push together. So unfortunately, I got to get inside this thing and take it apart. So once you get the engine off, then you can get to this. All right. It might even be best if you take this plate off right here, this engine plate, because there's one little bolt you have to get to right here that you might have to take out to get this cover off. But once you get the engine off, which is actually pretty easy, you just unbolt these 4 bolts. You have your throttle, right? You have your throttle and you have your shut-off switch. You take your throttle off the mower, you take your shut-off switch off the front of the gas tank, and then you're good to go. That's all you gotta do. You just take those 2 things off, unbolt these 4 bolts, your engine comes right off. Once you get your engine off, you're gonna have to take this off. This is your whole drive mechanism. So whenever you push your drive lever down, it moves all this stuff up against the belt. So you'll have to unbolt it there. There's a nut that goes right here. There's a bolt that goes in the top. And then you're going to have to take this pulley off. Now this pulley can be a little bit of a bitch. That's why I have a gear puller right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this gear puller. And I'm just using a 2-jaw gear puller to pull this pulley off. When I get this pulley off, then I can take off the drive mechanism, and then I can start taking out these bolts right here. These are star bits, so you're gonna need some star bits to take those off. So unfortunately, I had a mower that when the drive lever was pushed down, right when it gets to the very end, it grabs these pulleys and it starts yanking that chain inside this housing. And if it's clunking or making a loud noise, it could be the chain inside here. And there was nothing else that I could figure out why it would be doing that. I mean, unfortunately, it just is what it is. There was nothing. I mean, everything. The whole mower was taken apart, and the whole mower was put back together. And I've done it like 20 times. So there was nothing that I could see that was binding that would be making noise, which really sucks, because the only other thing that it could be is inside that gear case. And I mean, obviously I don't want to have to get inside there, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, because you can't give somebody a mower that's not operating properly. You know, they come spend a lot of money with you to buy something from you, and you need to make sure it's right. So there's a difference between somebody that has a greens mower and is wanting to sell it, and there's a difference in somebody that is buying greens mowers to sell them. Okay, those are 2 different things. Your average homeowner may have one that he's trying to sell, and you don't know what you're going to get. But if you're buying a mower from somebody that's reconditioning them like I am, and you expect it to work properly, You know, I'm not Joe Blow off the street that is just selling my personal mower. You know, I'm selling mowers that I bought to recondition so that I can give somebody a good mower. All right, I finally got that pulley off. Now I need to take this key. There's a key right here for the pulley. So you just take that key out. Now once you get that out, so you have the engine, you take the engine off, which really isn't that hard, honestly. It sounds like it's a lot harder than it is. Take the engine off, take that drive system off. You have one bolt there, one nut there, one bolt there. Take that pulley off with the gear puller. That's all you got to do. Other than that, you're going to have to get a star bit, and each of these require a star bit. Now, there is oil inside this, which I forgot. So what I'm going to do is be quiet here for a minute, and I'm going to dump this oil out. So you can watch me do that. There is a drain plug right here. I don't know if you can see it, but right there on this gear housing is a drain plug. So you're going to take that off. It's a 10 millimeter. Take it off, drain all the oil out. Okay, go ahead and take this top piece off too, because it's going to allow air to vent through there, and it'll come out of this hole a lot better. But take this off, drain all the oil out if you're going to get in here, and then you can take this housing off. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to show you. Let me show you this right here. All right, this engagement lever right here, you loosen this and it'll turn. It just sits on top of that like that. And then you push that away, and then you can wiggle this engagement lever out. It just pops out. All right, this is where you fill the oil. Whenever you're ready to fill this back up with oil, you fill it up right there. So that's all that is. Okay, nothing to it. There's a little gasket on there. To fill it back up, you're going to want to use John Deere High Guard. All right, do not use the low viscosity if you're in a warm climate. There's two different kinds. There's low viscosity, and there's that. Do not use the low viscosity because that is not for warmer temperatures. So if you got warmer temperatures, you know, as long as you're not up north somewhere, then I've already done one of these, and it smells like burnt transmission fluid, honestly. So I don't think this golf course ever changed this fluid. But we're going to take it out. Fluid is not coming out. So this is your fill hole, okay? And this same drain plug is also going to be your fill hole, or not your fill hole, but your check. Okay, so when you start dumping oil on top of here, wait till it starts coming out of this little seep hole right here, and then plug it back up. And then what I do is I just add just a tiny bit more in the top, because some of it seeped out there, and you're good. You don't have to fill this thing all the way up. It's kind of like really only like half a quart, if that, honestly. There we go. This one isn't as bad as the last one. I mean, the last one was pretty thick stuff and very black. So this one isn't as bad. So I'm hoping that this sprocket that's inside here looks a little better than the last one. All right, that's good enough for now. We can go ahead and start separating these two halves. I gotta take all these star bits out, and then I gotta try to separate the two halves. It's basically a clamshell, is what it is. They just clamshell together. There's sealant in between these all the way around. So you have to make, if you're gonna take this apart and put it back together, you're going to need to reseal it with some sealant, like some gasket material, you know. And when you're on this side over here, make sure you seal it all the way to the edge, because that drain plug's right there. I did this one time, and I didn't seal it all the way to the edge, and I totally screwed up. Had to take it back apart because it was leaking right here, because I put sealant inside where I wasn't supposed to. And it was pretty annoying, but I'll start taking these out and then fast forward it for you guys, so you don't have to sit here in silence. All right, that's everything. Make sure that you get every single one of those out, or obviously it's not going to come apart. Once you do that, you should be able to put a large screwdriver in the top of this, because the brake cable goes right inside there. You should be able to use a screwdriver and put it in there and push that apart just like that. So that was able to push that apart. Now let me see if I can get this apart. Yep, there we go. Okay. Now it's starting to come apart. Okay. Now there is a possibility you could break these right here. So, you know, just be aware of that. Don't get too crazy with it. But I got it apart at least. Didn't break anything. All right, this thing just comes right off. Okay. You can just move that out of the way. All right, now let me show you what's in here. See all that? You got all these sprockets. Let me take you out here. All right, you have a sprocket in the back. Okay, there's a large sprocket in the back. And that sprocket is really, really weird. You're gonna have an idler right here that you can take out. You're gonna have a sprocket right here. So this is your pulley that we took off, and it goes inside there to this sprocket, and that just fits inside that hole. There's a hole right there. Fits inside there. Then you have a chain to take off. A chain to take off, and then there's the thing we were looking at earlier. It's the double sprocket. So let me take that off. All right. Once we get in there, you take the little tensioner out. You can start taking chains off. Let's see if we can get this chain off without that tensioner on there. Take it off the back sprocket, then we can take it off the front, and then we can pull this out. Okay. Thank goodness this sprocket looks a lot better than the last one does. Probably does, because the fluid that's in here is actually fluid, and the one that was and that one smelled like burnt transmission fluid, and it was really nasty. But the good thing is this sprocket looks like it's in pretty good shape, so I'll be able to use this on that mower. And so what I'll do is I'm going to have to get the other mower, and I'm going to do the exact same thing to that other mower. I'm going to take the engine off, I'll take this plate off, I'll do everything I just did to the other mower, which is a hassle. Then I'll seal up both sides here, all right? And then I'll shove it in. Now go in, you got soccer practice tonight. Okay? Talk to mom, see what she says, okay? Okay. But we got to leave like in an hour, so. So yeah, so probably not. You can tomorrow, but probably not today, okay? So once you get those off, when I go to the other one, I'm gonna have to seal this up. All right. Let me see if I can show you what I was talking about. Which my hands are all dirty. All right. But when we go to seal this up, let's see here. Hands are dirty. Okay, let me. If I could turn this around, that'd be nice, but I can't do it right now. Okay, so right here, okay, when you're sealing this thing up, all right, you're gonna seal all the way around here, all the way down, and then right there, you see how it goes on the outside of this, okay? Your drain plug on the other side is right here. So don't seal inside that, okay? Just go all the way to the outside and seal it around, because you can see how it was just the outside. Yeah, only the outside was sealed up. Okay, see that right there? Only the outside. All right, it's time to fill up the gear oil inside this transmission housing for the 220B that I was working on, that I had to get inside here and replace the sprocket. The sprocket really didn't look that bad when I took it out, unfortunately, so I'm hoping that when I put this back together that it works a lot better than it did before. It was making a clunking noise before, so yeah. This is a follow-up video of the one I already done, so I may say some things twice. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this up with gear oil. I said it in the other video that we're going to use John Deere High Guard, not the low viscosity. We're in Oklahoma. I'm in Oklahoma, so it's kind of a hot climate here. So you can use this anywhere from, like, honestly, I don't know. I'm thinking about engine oil, but this is going to be for warmer climates. The low viscosity is going to be for colder climates. So if you're up north, you know, anywhere above Oklahoma, probably Kansas and, you know, New York and stuff like that, then you would want to use low viscosity. But this is going to be pretty simple. I've already clamshelled this back together. I've put silicone all the way around it. I pushed the housing back in. I started putting the screws in just enough so a little bit of sealant will start seeping out. You let it sit for about an hour or two. I came back out. I tightened it up a little bit more sealant comes out of the cracks. I let that sit for a while, came in the next day and went ahead and tightened it all the way up. That's how I did it. The case of sealant said you're supposed to let it sit for 1 hour and then you can tighten it all the way up. But I did it kind of twice. I tightened it up twice where sealant would come out. So now that that's been sitting for 24 hours, we should be good to go on putting gear oil in here. So it's going to be a pretty simple process. Just make sure you have that back bolt out right here. Okay, this bolt right there. I don't know if you can see it. Where is it at? Right here. Okay, this bolt right here. I'm going to start feeling this up, and when it starts coming out of this hole, so this is the hole that you use to empty it, and this will be the hole that you use to check it. Okay, when it starts coming out of that hole, I'm going to put the bolt that holds everything in right back in there. All right, it should be pretty simple. I mean, we're just going to keep dumping oil in here. It only takes like half a quart. I mean, all you're doing is just filling up the bottom of this gear case. So we're going to put some oil in here, and then we're going to see if it's leaking anywhere around the seal. If it is, we're going to empty the oil out, and I'm going to go through the whole process again, trying to seal it back up, make sure I did it right. Just, you know, I've been known to make a couple of mistakes in my life. No, it's hard to believe. So I'm just going to slowly fill this up with this fluid until it starts coming out of that hole. And then I'm going to plug that hole up, and I'll put just a tiny bit more in. Not much really, just a splash. Okay, starting to come out. There we go, stripping out of the hole. Plug this up. This is a 10 millimeter. So whenever you're going to take this off or put it back on, you just need a 10 millimeter. All right, we're going to snug that up. And I'm just going to put one little splash, one little bit more splash of oil in there. Nothing crazy. Just for good measure. Makes me feel good about myself. All right, now that we got that in, I'm just going to look underneath here just to make sure I don't see anything. I shouldn't really see anything as long as you took your sealant and you went around the edges all the way around. You should be fine. Now when you're doing your sealant, go ahead and go around each hole, put a circle around each one of these holes that the bolts go into, and you're going to have separate holes because there's a pin that this side goes into. Okay, there's little pins that come out to kind of make sure that everything is on there correctly. You can put it on there. There's little pins that come out the side here. Let me get this. I'll see if I can show you. Like right here, right next to this bolt, there's a little pin that comes out. There's gonna be one there, and there's gonna be one on the back right here, a little pin. And make sure you go around those also. So as long as you go around the outside, all the way around, especially right here, because you have this gap inside the housing, there's a gap. All right. So if you sealed up all the way inside there like that, all the way up in there, you're gonna screw it up. You need to go all the way to the outside. Okay. So as far as I know, we're good. I don't see anything coming out, which I don't really expect to. So I'm gonna go ahead and tidy up the sealant that squeezed itself out with a razor blade around there, and then I'm gonna start putting this thing back together. And when I got it back together, then I'm gonna go give it a test run here.